Welcome, everybody. It's officially 8:30 p.m. My name's Ron. I'm an alcoholic. Hey, welcome to Saturday night in Doylestown. Couple of quick announcements before we get started. Let's grab our seats so we get this party started. Important. Rain or shine. The annual Memorial Day picnic, Sunday, May 26th. That's like 3 weeks away from here. It'll be held at Peace Valley Park, Pavilion 3. The flyer will be posted in the Conscious Contact Speaker Group Facebook page. Stay up to date there, not only with this group, but things that are going on up and down the East Coast all the time. Keeps you connected to Alcoholics Anonymous. If you're bored in AA, you're missing a lot of the events that are going on, and that's the whole purpose of that Facebook group, to keep us connected. If you know of any AA events, any anniversaries, I love anniversaries. I always say, hey guys, let's get it together. It's AA meeting, past 8:30. All right, come on. Thank you. Okay. Thanks for your cooperation there. There's some important information here. This could change or save somebody's life here tonight. As much as this is a party, and we start this party, the food and fellowship gets out here at 8 p.m. Please come, laugh, eat, have some fun, hang out with us afterwards. The meeting before the meeting after the meeting is very, very important in my life, and I found it very important in most alcoholics' life. And we love to have new guys here. We're going to. Teresa's going to come up here and chair this meeting, so thanks. Got you started, got it quiet, Teresa. Let's welcome her up.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Conscious Contact Speaker Group of Alcoholics Anonymous. My name is Teresa, and I'm an alcoholic. This is a 1-hour speaker meeting that meets every Saturday evening at St. Paul's Lutheran Church right here in Doylestown at 8:30 p.m. The business meeting for this group meets every Saturday at 7 p.m. to 7:30 right here. The purpose of the group is to provide a consistent message of hope and recovery through God reliance and service to others through the practice and teaching of the 12 steps. We record all speakers so that others may benefit from their message of recovery. If you wish not to be recorded, simply ask. This is an open meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. The group would like to welcome everyone, especially newcomers. Is there anyone new or from out of town that would like to introduce themselves with their first name?
Ed, I'm home.
Hey, Ed. Chelsea, I'm all guys. Hey, Chelsea.
Welcome. The Conscious Contact Speaker Group encourages sponsorship. Would anyone with working knowledge of the 12 steps and is willing to sponsor, please raise your hands. Are there any announcements for the good of AA?
I'm an alcoholic. Don't forget, May 13th, Sellerville Group's having their 70th anniversary. Fun food fellowship is at 7:30. Speaker at 8:30, past Delegate Hugh Mile will be speaking. One out is on Zane and Church Streets in Sullivan.
We have meeting lists and big books on easy terms. Please see me or any home group member after the meeting. If you cannot afford a big book, the Conscious Contact Speaker Group will give you one at no charge. Anyone willing to make donations for the purchase of big books and CDs to help those who can't afford them can put donations in the jar on the table marked Big Book and CD Donations. If you would like a CD of any speakers past or present, see me or Ron before or after the meeting. They are available free of charge. Nick is going to come on up and read the preamble.
Good evening, my name is Nick, I'm an alcoholic. This is the AA Preamble. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And with that, we have Scott to come up and read the 12 steps of recovery.
My name is Scott, I'm an alcoholic. One, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs.
Praise God.
The seventh tradition. Every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. At this time, I would like to pass the baskets. We have no dues or fees, but we have expenses. This group provides many services. Your donations cover rent, big books, CDs, events, and workshops. There is absolutely no smoking on the church property. Please take a moment to silence all cell phones and limit movement during the meeting to avoid distractions. And now, a good friend of the Conscious Contact Speaker Group, I'd like to welcome Renee A. from the There Is a Solution group in Barnegat, New Jersey.
Thank you, Ron. All right, I think I got this. Good evening. My name is Renee. I'm an alcoholic. Thank you, Ron, for asking me to speak. It's always an honor and definitely a privilege to be asked to speak and be able to show up for AA today. I have a sobriety date. It is June 16th, 2014. I have a sponsor. Her name is Sarah Ironside. She's from Philly. And my home group is There Is a Solution Speaker Group in Barnegat, New Jersey. If you happen to be around Barnegat, New Jersey next week, little plug, it's our group's 13-year anniversary. We're having Chris S. from Burnsville, New Jersey speak, so there's my plug. Hope to see you there, Food Fun Fellowship. So I actually, I grew up in Jackson, New Jersey. Jackson, New Jersey is where Six Flags is, if anyone's familiar. Exit 7A off the Turnpike. Lived there all my life, still do. My home group is a half hour away from me. My sponsor lives an hour away from me. And I drove an hour here because I honestly will do anything for a message and to get a solution to my alcoholism, my spiritual malady, right? And, you know, for a long time, when I first came in the rooms, I actually came in the rooms almost 8 years ago, all right? And when I first came into the rooms after rehab, I found a really great home group, met a lot of really great people. They meet 7 days a week, 7 a.m. Every day's like different. Saturdays are speaker group, Monday's big book, then as Bill sees it, so on and so forth. And I would show up every day, go to these meetings, eventually be a greeter, you know, eventually show up earlier and make some coffee and continue to meet people. But I did not get a sponsor. You know, I was told do 90 meetings in 90 days. I had no idea why, but that's what I was told. So anyway, I'll probably go in circles tonight, but my job here tonight is to tell you what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. So I am the daughter of an alcoholic father who has since been recovered for about 30 years. My mother's not alcoholic. I have 2 older brothers. I'm the only girl. I am the alcoholic. And, you know, although my father, you know, suffered from this thing, he absolutely did the best he could with what he had. He let us know every day that we were loved unconditionally. He wasn't physically abusive to my mother, to my knowledge, but he was very emotionally and verbally, and I heard it all the time. I heard it at night. I don't know how much my brothers heard, but I heard a lot of it at night. And they'd be at the kitchen table at night, and he'd be calling her really, really horrible things. And she took it, and I believe she believed that about herself. Now, my mother went to Catholic school all her life. She went to school with the nuns. She went to school with the nuns that would tell you that you're stupid and hit you with rulers, and they made you believe that, right? And she was just a fear-based woman, but she's not alcoholic. She's the oldest. She has a brother and a sister, none of which are alcoholic. Her father and mother not alcoholic. My father's mother is alcoholic. His sister was alcoholic. He's the youngest of 5. By the time my father was alive, his parents were pretty much done raising kids, so it was his sisters that raised him, okay? Anyway, so there was, definitely there was a lot of chaos in the house, right? Like, we never knew who we were coming home to, or who, was coming home from work, okay? We didn't know if it was gonna be happy drunk. We didn't know if it was gonna be angry. We had no idea. All we knew is that we just didn't want him to be there. So we'd come home, and if he was home, we'd be like, ugh. I didn't want to be around him. I mean, again, my dad told me I was the most beautiful girl in the world almost every day, and he loved me so much, but I hated him. I absolutely despised this man. I didn't understand what he suffered from. I just knew that he was just mean to my mom, He did get physical with my oldest brother often. I saw it a lot. My older brother took the brunt of my father's anger. My middle brother and I would watch and cry and be terrified. And that went on for a long time. It's crazy. So with my mother, being in Catholic school all her life, she had a lot of faith, okay? And she, we made our sacraments, our communions, confirmations, all that stuff. So I did have a belief system in a God. I don't know I believed in the Catholic Church's God. I just was so disconnected, okay? My mom, I would ask questions, and she would tell me stuff out of the Bible, and I'd be really interested, and I loved the stories, and I would be into it, which was crazy, but but God was the reason for a lot of the stuff in my life, because I didn't know anything else. I was always able to make a lot of friends. I got along with people, very outgoing and friendly, but inside it was just like this constant fear, okay, and not feeling good enough, not feeling accepted, not feeling part of, and just absolutely terrified inside, and just hated myself so much, zero self-worth, and even as a little girl, and even as a young child, it's like I lived this double life, okay? Like I was in dance for about a good 11 and a half years of my life, and I had my dance friends, and I had my regular school friends, and I rarely would intermingle them, and I got into acting a little bit, and I would never tell anybody. I would never tell any of my school friends. I would never tell people because I thought maybe they wouldn't like me, and I thought, that would make people maybe judge me or something like that. So again, I would just kind of be a chameleon and try to fit in where I thought I should fit in, right? Or and I see, so growing up, I'm like an 80s, 90s kid, okay? I was born in 79, and the whole time of Z Cavaricci and cross colors, I didn't have that stuff, okay? And I felt like such a piece of garbage because of that. And this one girl, Karen, she was the same size as me, and she could get them because her mom could afford to get them hemmed. I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I hated myself because I could have Z Cavariccis, and I'm really dating myself here, guys, all right, for people in the back. But, just stupid stuff like that. Just nothing was good enough. Nothing. And here's the thing, my dad worked, my mom worked full-time, both parents worked full-time. I had babysitters all the time, this and that, and it's not like we didn't have stuff. We had stuff. We weren't rich, we weren't poor. For a while, all right? And on the outside, everything looked dynamite. I know it. I did, and I have nice birthday parties, and again, dance class and this and that, and again, my parents did the absolute best they could of what they had, but as a result of my father's alcoholism, came a point where we ended up losing our house. It went up for sheriff's sale, and I'll get to that. And so I remember, and I tell this often, I was in 8th grade, and I was getting ready for school, and every time I'd get ready for school, I'd have the music playing, so I didn't hear anything. And I'm about to walk out my door to go to the bus stop, and I see my dad in his bedroom, and he's like packing clothes, but there's cops in the doorway of their bedroom. I'm like, no idea what's going on. So I go in the kitchen, my mom's sitting at the kitchen table, and there's a few more cops in the house, and I'm like, what's going on? You know, my mom's like, your father and I had a domestic dispute, and I called the police on them, everything's okay. I'm like, okay, you know, and I'm like, this is insane. My brothers have absolutely no idea that this happened, because they're older, and they're, you know, one's in school and one's out doing what he does. And turns out my oldest brother, when he was coming home that morning, that night, he and his buddy were out like robbing cars, breaking into buildings, stealing stuff. He thought the cops were there for him, not knowing that it was really for my mother. So he turned around and left. So he still had no idea what was going on. So chaos, you know, is what we do. So then I walk out my front door, and a girlfriend of mine who lived across the street from me, now, of course, like here, you know, people are seeing the cops at my house, you know, now I got to tell people like what's going on. I'm like, you know, and I remember I just cried to her, and she put her arm around me, and we just walked to the bus stop, and that was that. I got home from school, and my brothers were there, and they had no idea. I'm like, dude, Dad's out of the house. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, the cops are here, he's gone. And we were happy, like, that's crazy, you know, and it was dramatic, but, and the crazy part is, like, this is where you know, like, alcohol wasn't the problem, and you know, again, it's my story, this is my father's stuff, but it's just part of my story, too, like, my dad was sober at this time, all right? He had gotten sober maybe a year prior, but, you know, hey, that was his journey, okay? That was his journey, that was his path, and soon after that, he you know, he got into the work, and they're cool, you know, so there's that. But anyway, so, and then like that following year, my mom came home from work one day, was like, you know, our house is going up for sheriff's sale, we have to be out by Monday. Okay, so I got to live with a friend for about a month, and we're all separated. My dad took the dog, my mom has a cat at a friend's house that she works with. It was just, you know, it was just crazy. So, but I thought it was cool, because I got to stay at my friend's house and go to school when I wanted to, kind of thing. So that was, not realizing that at the time, my mom probably felt like the biggest piece of garbage ever, and that she failed her children, you know, but she hustled. My mom's always been a hustler, and I'd be lucky if I end up remotely close to the woman she is, because she's absolutely incredible. There's not one bad bone in that woman's body. And so anyway, and then in high school, I have my experience with a solution. At a party, my middle brother and I were in high school for 2 years together. I was a freshman, he was a junior, so he would take me to parties and let me hang out with all his friends, and I thought it was so cool because I was hanging out with big kids, you know, older guys. And I had my first experience with alcohol, and I didn't have this like aha moment, I have arrived. No, I had this moment where I was just like, okay, you know, I kind of like exhale a little bit here, you know, and there that feeling of not being part of it kind of slipped away, and it was great. And I don't remember my first drunk. It was definitely soon after that at the same house at another big party. But all I know is that I couldn't wait for more. And you know, again, it was one of those things like it progressively started where once I would stop, I couldn't stay stopped, kind of thing. And things would progress. It would progress in high school, and my introduction to other forms of alcohol and other forms of solution. Okay, and it was at a young age, and I was able to kind of put those things down for a bit, and the alcohol was always there. I would end up in a situation where I was physically harmed by another man, and you know, I remember it was at a party, and it was as a result, definitely, of my drinking. I put myself in that position. That's just the truth. That's my truth. And I remember the next day, I woke up in the morning on my bedroom floor, not knowing how I got home, and it was a mess, if you will, and I didn't know what happened. I just felt like garbage, and all I know is that I wanted to die. And I remember going to school that next day, and I just, that heaviness on my chest and not being able to look anyone in the eye because I just felt so disgusting, you know, and what did I do? And it was my fault, and, you know, it was just a horrible feeling. However, I couldn't wait to do that all over again. I couldn't wait to get back to there, you know, and then I couldn't wait for the next party, and I couldn't wait to get my hands on, you know, alcohol, and it was just, that's all I just couldn't wait to get to that. My grades were subpar. Teachers liked me because of my personality, and that's really all that was, how it worked out. I did some sports and stuff here and there. But it came a time where I put the sports away because, you know, the partying and the substances were way more important than anything. You know, I finally found finally found something that made this shut up, you know? And I finally found something that just made me not want to kill myself. So, again, it was just, you know, the substances were always there. Alcohol was always there. And there was never no such thing as controlled drinking. There was nothing like that. It was, you know, if a friend told me, I think you'd have enough, I'd hate them. I'd be mad at them. Like, are you out of your mind? Like, no, it's going to keep happening. And, like, that's it. I eventually meet my husband one night. This is like years later. You know, again, my drinking history shows that, again, it was always a mess. It was always a lot. It was always more. And it was always, I can't stop. And I just, whatever I could get my hands on, I would, kind of thing. Didn't go to college. I knew I wasn't going to college. I tried a little bit of community college, and it's like I just kind of accepted, like, that was that. You know, I just had no desire to really put my best foot forward. I didn't care. You know, I just kind of went through the motions of life, and that was it. I just got jobs and stuff. Anyway, so I ended up meeting my ex-husband at a bar from Jackson. We had like the same core group of friends, kind of thing, and you know, he partied like I did, and I drank moonshine without flinching, and he thought that was amazing. So it was like love at first drink, you know what I'm saying? And you know, he's like, oh my God, and that's just like how it went. And like I partied hard. He drank like how I drank, and a lot of my relationships leading up to that, like I didn't date in high school. I was the party girl. Plus I had two older brothers, and like one time a buddy of mine just came over to say hi. That was it. My brother chased him on the front lawn on the kid's bike. I'm like, dude, like, just my friend, you know? So that was that. Didn't date, and I just partied. So anyway, so, you know, the relationships I got into before my husband, like my first relationship, you know, guy drank how I drank. He was verbally abusive. Would put me down, and I'm like, this is love, you know, I love the guy. And that's like how my relationships would go, and it would be the next best thing. And like, it just wasn't, you know, it wasn't stop. It was just always just like go. And it was just, you know, holding on to, you know, these exterior things, these outside things to make this inside feel good, you know, because, again, I have no idea what I suffer from, so I'm going to reach for anything that's going to make me feel good, you know, and that's what I did. So I meet my ex-husband at a bar, and again, we know all the same people, hang out with the same friends, and yeah, we had a lot of fun. I end up moving in with him. My mom was moving in with my stepfather, okay, and putting the condo up for rent. So I moved in with my ex-husband, and it was just like a lot of partying, and it was so much fun, you know. But then also there was like a lot of craziness, and you know, things had gotten physical a couple times as a result of our drinking on both ends. I was a complete maniac, and you know, we just put up with it. He put up with me, and I put up with him, and next thing you know, we end up pregnant with our first son. It was definitely a surprise and unplanned, and you know, what do you do when you get pregnant? The right thing to do is to get engaged, to get married, right? And two suffering, you know, sick alcoholics just made sense to us. And everything was great on the outside. Like our families loved each other. Like he was a very likable guy. He worked really hard. His family is actually tremendous. And I'm super, super, super fortunate and blessed that I have a really good relationship with my in-laws today, and that's as a result of this program and God, and we'll get to that. But you know, our families like loved each other, and like his family too, even like before the pregnancy, like his family partied like we partied. At least that's what it looked like, okay? Like it looked like they all partied like that. So any like family function, this and that, we'd show up loaded, or like, you know, I'd be like showing up their house and going to his parents' like wine rack and just like open up a bottle of wine, like thinking that's completely normal. People are probably looking at me like this is completely out of her mind. I'm like, it's whatever, you know. And that's how it was, and I love that, you know, because I always wanted a big family, and I had a big family, and he had big families, and it was just so much fun, and you know, it was just I thought that's you know, that was the right thing, and at the time it was. God saw fit. At the time it was, and you know, everything serves its purpose, and Anywho, so we get pregnant with our first son, and he proposes. Now, we were together for like a while before we got pregnant, but anyway, he proposes, and he was drunk when he proposed in front of her families. It's beautiful. I knew it was happening too. That night really wasn't even surprised. I was like, oh, played it off like I was like crying, like, ugh. So I didn't like have that like experience, you know? So anyway, and like, but then, you know, I'm pregnant now here. I don't have a solution anymore. So I'm stuck with me, right? And I'm stuck with this guy who gets to still drink, okay? And he gets to do whatever he wants. And now he travels for his job. So he's going here and there. He's calling me drunk. And I'm like, you know, and I'm stuck. And I'm like, this is like awful, you know? Now here's the thing. Like, I actually had an emotional attachment to this child. I did have a really good pregnancy. There were some pieces of solution along the way. That's just my story. And, you know, but I enjoyed my pregnancy, I did, and I was excited. You know, in the midst of my pregnancy, I was able to cause some like drama in my family. That's what we do, because it's all about me. And, you know, so like, I wanted to invite my middle brother's ex-girlfriend to my baby shower, not knowing, like, that's just not cool, you just don't do that. Now, he's married, okay, and like they're trying to point out to me like that's not good, but I'm like, but she's my friend, and like, oh, like I'm not seeing it for what it is, you know. And I was just like, I was so mad. I'm like, I say to my mom, I'm like, you know, if Katie's not in my shower, like no one's seen the baby, you know, like just craziness, you know. That's what I do. And it's just like such a maniac. And my sister-in-law, and I'm not, wait, was she in my shower? I can't remember. I don't think she was. Oh my God, it's ridiculous. I put this woman through hell. I did. And like, I'd have them in my wedding, you know, and I had a pure resentment, and like, you know, Katie couldn't go to my wedding, so I hated everybody. And I got my like whole family to like hate my sister-in-law, all right? That's how manipulative and just vile and just a piece of garbage that I am, because it's all about me, right? And I like really put this one through hell. It was terrible. And my brother, like, he called me one night, he gave it to me how I should, and I remember calling my older brother, like, he just said this to me, you know, and like made it nothing about what I've done or saw my part. I couldn't see my part. It was all, look what they did to me, right? Look what they did to me. How dare they? This is my shower. This is my wedding. Like, look what they did to me. Just a sick person, you know. Now, so, you know, on my wedding day, I'm not sober, and our oldest son is now at the time. He's a little over a year. Oh, he's such a good kid. He's so beautiful, and he was in the wedding, and it was so cute and everything. But like, you know, I didn't have that like butterfly feeling on your wedding day you're supposed to have. You know, like the photographer's like, you know, in the bridal suite, and I'm like off doing my thing kind of thing, and come back like, yeah, you know, and I was a mess on my wedding day, but it was one of those things where like, I ended up getting in a fight with my sister-in-law on my ex-husband's side, right? I ended up like throwing a glass in the bathroom. She pissed me off. Like, it's not normal stuff to do. Like, it's not. I'm like completely nuts. Watching my mouth there. So, you know, and it was just chaos. And I'm just not sober on my wedding day. And, you know, but the thing is too, you know, looking back at it, I guess I didn't love this man. I was in love with the idea of the family and the good job and the grandiose wedding. You know, it was a nice wedding, and the fanfare, you know, and the money, and look at me. So that's what it was. That's really what it was, you know, and in fear, right? We're fear-based people, you know, we make decisions based on fear. So, you know, without a solution, you know, I do these things, and I marry a man I probably shouldn't have married, but again, God saw fit. That's my journey. That's that. So I'm pregnant at our wedding. We didn't know yet, all right? But I'm pregnant with our second son at our wedding, and again, not sober. And we didn't go on our honeymoon until like a month later, because we had our oldest. You know, we didn't want to like have the wedding then leave him. You know, we just wanted to give it like some time and everything. We did. We waited like a month, and you know, my disease is just through the roof. It is just really bad, and you know, I'm you know, just whatever kind of form of solution I can get my hands on, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna steal it, whatever it was. And that's what I did. And we're on our honeymoon, and I remember like we're about to come home, and they mess up our flights, and I want to get home because I'm sick. I'm not well. Oh, before we got married too, by the way, my ex did admit to the woman who did our, how people do like that pre-Cana thing before they get married? Well, the minister who was marrying us, like my ex actually admitted to him that he had a drinking problem, to her that he had a drinking problem. And she was like, knowing this, she's like, I can't marry you too. Knowing this, you need to get to AA, get a sponsor, and start working the steps. And a couple nights before, like, he did that, he's like, I think I have a drinking problem. I'm like, no, you don't, because that meant he was going to stop drinking. And then I was going to be all alone. I'm like, be the crazy one. No, that's not cool. So, like, no, you're fine. You can control it. And like, totally he did. And I'm like, no, you'll be all right. And again, I'm just so sick, and I can't lose that partner, right? I can't be the only one who's sick. That's not cool. So anyway, so he starts going to meetings and stuff before the wedding. So he's sober on our wedding day. He's sober during our honeymoon, and I'm just totally not, and he doesn't know that. He has no idea, because, like, I'm pregnant, right? So I remember our flight was, like, messed up, and we're in the airport, and I'm, like, so feeling lousy and sick, and I, like, nearly, like, grabbed the woman, like, by her. I'm like, you're going to get us on a flight, and you're going to get us home, because I have to get home to my other son. Meanwhile, the truth was, I had to get back to my solution, because I'm just ill, and I don't feel well, and it's all about me. So needless to say, they got us on that next flight, because I'm completely crazy, and it's all, just nuts, so crazy. It really was very difficult. So anyway, oh, that was a different trip, sorry. So we get home, and again, my disease is just through the roof, and I just can't, he goes back to work, and he travels a lot for work, he's gone a lot, so I'm home with the baby, and I'm home with myself, and this, and, just raising this child, and who I did love very much, and he was a very good, easy baby, so easy. He was such a good boy, and he made it very easy to be a mom. However, there were times I absolutely resented that child because he did get in the way of my drinking and what I wanted to do. There were times I would say I hated being a mom. I absolutely despised it. I was so sick, I was physically harmful to my child, verbally. I never said that out loud before to anybody. My sponsor, but this, it's the first time. But I was a terrible person. I was horrible. And, he was such a good boy, and I was just so sick, and I treated him poorly a few times. I absolutely did. So eventually, I will get close to the due date of our second son, and I'm getting my solution any way I can. I'm bringing my son with me, places he shouldn't have gone to, and I'm just doing it, and it's just so bad. And we just a couple days before I give birth, my youngest, my ex ends up completely tearing his entire knee, ACL, all that, and jiu-jitsu, so that was like something to deal with. So we get to the hospital, and I'm there, and now I'm completely sober. I have nothing in my system, right? And it shows how alcohol, isn't the problem. I have nothing in my system yet. I'm sitting there thinking about how I can con my way into getting something in that hospital, right? And the nurses come through for you, of course. It's just what happens, and they give you a little something for pain. But I end up, it's just my story. My ex is in a lot of pain, so his doctor had him prescribe something. He had it with him. He legitimately needed it. And, I'm like taking it in the hospital and stuff like that. We get home, and he's like, this stuff is like missing. I'm like, that's weird. Very strange. Maybe it was the nurses. Can't believe they would do that. Driving this man completely insane because he's like believing it, and I'm like with all my, earnestness, I'm like making him believe it, and it just didn't stop. The lying and the deceit and like it just complete craziness. And again, I'm if I couldn't get my hands on alcohol, it was whatever it was, and just just miserable and I want to die. Now I have these 2 kids. I'm taking, here's a man who can't walk for 6 weeks, an almost 2-year-old and a newborn, and I have zero solution and I'm out of my mind and I'd rather just die than be a mother, and that's, with my second son, I don't believe there was much of an emotional attachment to him. It wasn't part of the plan, and I'm selfish, and I just was so not happy to be a mother. And again, I was so sick too. Turns out my son had an allergy to lactose, and I couldn't even figure that out, why he was always stuff was just running through him, and he was getting upset, and he couldn't sleep well, and I'd be physically abusive to him because of it, okay? Because I just couldn't take it, and it was awful. It was so bad. It was bad. It was so bad. And it's, even as he got a little older too, he was just a really rambunctious little boy and sensitive and this and that. And today he's the sweetest little thing you'll ever meet in your life. And he's all about fairness and he's so sweet and kind and good. I struggled so hard with him for a long time and just a 180 today. And it's just miraculous. And he's so good. They're such good boys. They're my little white knights. I love them so much. And what's cool is they've never seen me loaded. They've never seen me loaded. It's great. Although there was times where my son mimicked certain things I did while getting loaded, but he doesn't remember it, thank God. But, it's cool. They go to meetings with me and stuff sometimes, and they know what mommy does, and they know I'm at a big meeting tonight, and they get excited about it. It's really cool. So, God willing, the seed's planted. Sometimes I go back and forth, who's the alcoholic, which week. This week it was my youngest. I'm like, oh man, yeah, that's him. And my oldest is gonna be 11 next month. I have his teacher from last year who's amazing. I needed a third party to come in because I was not ready for the preteen attitude. I was not ready for that. Okay, no. And he took him out to the diner, had a man thing. He's just a cool guy, and and I'm like, oh yeah, it's definitely him this week. So, oh my God. So hopefully the seed's planted, and maybe they just won't be one of us. But anyway, so it's just my disease was just so bad at one point, and I'm just so miserable, and I have no solution, and I just want to blow my brains out, and I don't know why. I don't know what I suffer from. And, the whole time, too, my dad saw my downfall. He saw my spiral. He knew what was going on with me, but not once did he ever, hound me for it. The one thing he did say to me, though, was listen, kid, if you have a problem with this or anything, let me know. We'll get you help. He relied on God and his sponsor and 12 Steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. And, a lot of prayers. I met a man who just celebrated 40 years. I got to speak at the man's home group. He hasn't seen me in years, but the guy knew my story before I knew my story. We met my father almost 30 years ago, and they prayed for me. He told me that. And it's great, that you surely meet some of us, right? It's what happened. It's really cool. So, incomprehensible demoralization all over the place, because I'm just a terrible person, a bad mother. I'm neglectful. I had a cop show up to my door one time because my son, my oldest, got out. The house we used to live in, we lived on this really busy street. It was actually County Street, and it was known that our corner of our house, there's a lot of accidents. So we actually had to have boulders placed on our front lawn. That's how bad it was. And I was just laying sick on my couch one day, and I get a knock on the door. It's a cop. And my son's there, and my dog, and he questioned me. He's like, "Typhus ever involved?" I said, "No." I was mad. I made a Facebook post about this cop. How dare he? And this and that. No, I was just a neglectful, awful person who. I was this sick and suffering alcoholic, and had no idea, but it was everybody else's fault, and how dare he, I'm tired, I was born, and if you knew, you get it, and it was everybody else's fault. So, anyway, I'm putting my ex-husband through absolute hell, lying, deceit, being super shady, because, I'm going to the store for a while, I'm picking up my prescription for a while, doing all these things, and money's missing, and and my attitude, and just not sleeping, and just complete craziness. And one day he came home from work, and he just put the pieces together, and got a little physical. He just had it, and I got physical in front of my kids. And he was like, you're going to treatment. I was like, thank God, because just a few nights prior to that, I was like, God, please just help me. You're killing me. Please just end it. I can't do this anymore. I just couldn't do it anymore, but I didn't know what to do. Just didn't know how. It was at that point, it's I want to it's like I thought just, alcohol and stuff were always going to be my solution to this thing and how I felt, but I also just wanted to stop at the same time. I just didn't know how. I ended up going to treatment for 28 days at Seabrook House. I started learning about the steps a little bit, had a big book, and I remember like stuff my dad would say to me, it's like registering. I'm like, oh my God, that's what he's talking about, and little seeds are being planted, and I'm like, really, like, this is, and I do great in rehab, awesome. I'm like, I'm like good, I do what I'm told, and, I'm like all-star, and red lanyard, that means you're like cool and stuff, you like lead groups and stuff, like awesome, so. I also get served with divorce papers and restraining order when I'm in rehab, and I'm like, and the Seabrook House knew it was going to happen, because I guess like they got the call like the day before. My therapist knew it was going to happen, this and that, and like they literally walked me through the process. Like this one woman who's head of nursing, like she came and got me the next morning after I found out that night, and I was like, what? And it's crazy. What's crazy is like I didn't care about my husband. I just wanted my kids. They're my hostages. That's what they were. And I just wanted them, and I didn't care about him. But anyway, they walked me through it, and they're like, this is beginning to a new start for you. That's it. Okay. So now, towards the end of my stay there, my therapist was like, look, with everything going on back home, like she's like, I don't even know where you're going to be living. She's like, I really think you should go away for some more treatment. And actually, my mom had just had surgery for cancer and stuff, and this poor woman's like going through this, and she's like a wreck, and like, her daughter's in rehab, and she had no idea. My mom had no idea. She like kind of had an inkling that something was up, but she just didn't know, I don't know. So I went out to this place in Minnesota called The Retreat. It's non-clinical, 12-step based program. They get you right into that big book. There's a woman, Cookie, who's out there. I think she's visited out here a couple times. Not Doylestown, but Jersey. PA, Jersey, whatever. So she took us through the big book, and I'm like learning, she got us into Bill's story and the doctor's opinion and working with others and all that. And I'm like, and the way she read it and described, I'm like, this is awesome. I'm like, really getting into the big book, I understood steps. I thought I understood steps 1 through 3 in Seabrook House. And then when I got to the retreat out in Minnesota, they suggest that you, like, if you've been through steps 1 through 3, write an inventory and link up with someone and do a 5th step. And because we would have like what I call the civilians. We'd have civilians come in and like give us meetings, and really cool, like awesome meetings, like women's meetings. And then I think it was Sunday night, they had like the big meeting. It was awesome. It was awesome. Really was really cool. A lot of transients there. So I met people from out east there, which was really cool. And friends with some of them today too, which is amazing. That's why I love this program. So I actually sat there with this woman, did a 5th step. I took the hour afterwards. I had no idea what I was asking God to remove at the time at all. I just did what I was told, and I really still didn't connect with it. I get out of rehab. I live with my mom and stepdad for a little while. My ex-husband sees that I'm staying sober. Now I'm not working any steps. Again, I'm showing up to meetings. I don't get a sponsor, but I'm showing up to meetings almost every day and every night, and that's what I do. And I get back together with my ex-husband. I move in with, he had moved the boys and himself into his parents' house because he works and everything, and we ended up putting our house up for rent. So I moved back in with them, and again, with no solution, no idea what I suffer from, it's not long before I'm right back at the same place that ended me out there. And I hid it for a little while, but then the same behaviors are cropping up, same lies, this and that. And this time I'm like, instead of telling people like where I was at, like my family, God forbid, what would they think, right? Like, we're going to do this together as husband and wife, we're going to do it. I don't need rehab. So like, again, like, so then I had a sponsor at the time. I'm doing the steps with her. I ended up doing another 4th step and stuff. I never got to amends because I would always it was a constant thing. I'd go right back to alcohol, and this would continue on for a really long time. And I just heard on the way up here, listening to Eddie Dunn from Philly, he said, like, 1st step experience is, he says, like, kind of like detrimental, almost, like really like, painful, right? So finally, I have first step experience. I'm giving an ultimatum, like, you're gonna do something about this, or you're gonna get the hell out, and you're gonna lose the kids for good. And he meant it. He absolutely meant it, as he should. At this time, I'm sorry, we bought a house, bought a new home. That's gonna make everything better, but still, I'm just so sick, and I'm not doing anything about this thing still, this constant thing. And after a while, again, it just catches up, and he just can't take it anymore. And I want to stop, but I don't know how to stop, and I don't know how to. I'm constitutionally incapable of being honest with anybody, myself, and it has to take this scary thing to happen. And again, he tells me do something about this or get out. And I call my sponsor that night, call my dad that night, and I'm crying. And my new sponsor was like, look, she's like, all right, you have a couple choices. You could either you could get into the work and we can do this thing, or you can continue to do what you're doing, lose your kids, and then die. What do you want to do? And my dad kind of said the same thing too. And so we did. We got into the work, and she saw the lights go on. She saw the psychic change, and I remember it was this one day. I got into an argument with my ex-husband, and normally, right away, I remember I would drink or use at him. I'd use at him, and I remember one day I didn't have a desire. I had no desire. Instead, I just wanted to call my sponsor and talk to her about it, and I just had this feeling, this experience, and it was really emotional. I was like, oh my God, for the first time. Because I remember hearing people talk about the obsession being lifted. I'm like, when? How? How am I not going to obsess over this thing? Especially my first go at this thing, when I'm doing 90-90, why am I still white knuckling? Don't drink, come to meetings. Great. Then what? What in between though? No one's telling me, unless they were and I wasn't hearing it. But I'm sitting there like, why do I still want to blow my brains out? Please, God, why am I not going to obsess over this thing? And it wasn't until, a result of getting into the steps and having that experience, and really taking a good look at myself and my part and how selfish I am, manipulative, they says in the book, God's our employer. How dare I not do his work, right? So continue to do the steps, and next thing you know, I'm having this moment. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not happy in this marriage, and I never was. And I knew it was time to make a really scary decision, and talking to my sponsor, said, look, she's like, God is either everything or he is nothing. We'll get through this together. I knew it was going to be hard because I was a stay-at-home mom for years. I had absolutely nothing. And I knew, and we knew it was going to be difficult, but, it was a decision, but it was a sober decision. And, guided by my sponsor and again, in God, relying on God, At first, my family, it rocked them a little bit because what about the kids? They were worried, because they knew I had nothing. They knew I'd never really been on my own before. So I really was in no position to take care of 2 children on my own. That's the truth. I never gave anyone a reason to believe that I could. So, so I finally sit them down one night and I tell them, or during the day, and we weren't sure what we were going to do, so we're kind of cohabitating a little bit, which was really awkward. And then finally one day it was before his work day, and he comes in and he's being real verbally abusive and just throwing shots and just really being horrible in front of the kids and this and that. And unfortunately, I had to end up getting a restraining order, and it was just. But I got through it. It was not easy. It was rather terrifying, but again, through God and AA, I got through it. My sponsor ended up picking up and drinking again. I went without a sponsor for quite some time during my separation, which meant, taking my will back and running around wild and harming people and ending up hating myself. I may as well have just picked up a drink at that point. All right. And, God saw fit. A good friend of mine introduced me to Sarah, and, I didn't ask her to be my sponsor yet. Same pattern, right? I'm running on self-will, and I'm, just running around full of fear and making decisions based on fear, and I ended up just hating who I was, and I asked Sarah for help one day, and that was that. As a result of running on self-will, we ended up getting my own apartment and stuff like that, but I blow through the money from the sale of the house, just complete disaster in sobriety, right? So I'm not doing anything. I end up getting evicted or just about evicted. My mother, God bless her, she helps me get back in. and the same stuff went on time and time again. I finally start working, and I get little part-time jobs. I'm still relying on support and alimony, and not really doing much. And the pain had to get great enough for me in sobriety, and these things had to happen. I had to almost lose my home in front of my kids, and what are you doing? Just wasn't doing anything. And that went on for a while, and Sarah would call me out on my stuff, and like what are you doing? And I just put my kids in harmful situations again, and it wasn't all right. Again, this is a woman with almost 2 years sober, and that's what I'm doing. Getting my car repoed, stuff like that, just complete unmanageability. I end up meeting someone along the way. We've been together for almost 3 years, and he's a man that walks with, dignity and grace and does this thing, and it's absolutely incredible. And, I've had to, I did a new fourth step, and I did a new fifth step with Sarah, and, she showed me just how absolutely incredible 6 and 7 are. I love step 6 and 7, to ask God to remove these things that are blocking us, from him and to others. I ended up having to make an amends to my boyfriend, because of harming him and someone who literally do anything for me, But anyway, so it's just I had a really great experience with Sarah. I got to more amends. I made my amends. I made my amends to my parents early on in sobriety. Made amends to my brothers. My oldest brother, who I thought was going to be my hardest one, because he was my biggest critic. Because he loves me, and he wanted to make sure that I was doing right. And my mom's my landlord today. I ended up moving into the condo that she rents out, and if it weren't for her, I'd be out on the street. That's my story. Seriously, because again. Running on fear, self-will, not asking for help, not telling people where I'm at, that's what I do, But anyway, he just wanted to make sure I was doing right, and I made my amends to him on Father's Day last year, and it's, on Christmas, I'm at my mom's house, and they bought me presents, I owe my mom so much money, and they bought me presents, I don't deserve this stuff, and they wanted me to be there, and they loved me, and they showed me that they loved me, and it was just, I had those promises came true as a result of my amends. In October, my ex-husband ended up making a decision based on fear, which ended up with me having, in Jersey it's DIFUS, here it's CPS, I had a DIFUS case on me. And that was absolutely terrifying and so hard. And this is, here I am with a little over 4 years sober, and I'm just this is the fear and the anxiety and not sleeping, not eating, really was super heavy. And Sarah the whole time was look, there's going to be a takeaway from this. You're going to be able to help people with this. I remember praying to God, just show me what I'm to do during this time, And I ended up being able to give my number out to women. I had to go to this group. I had to get drug tested randomly, this and that. And I happily did it for them, And my caseworker was amazing, and she treated me like a human being, and she, she was just really great, and said, she told me I did nothing wrong or nothing illegal. Again, it was just a person full of anger, someone never made an amends to. So there's that. Anyway, so I went through that. Christmas is coming around. I am in no means whatsoever, no position to have Christmas for my kids, because again, I don't know how to handle money. My alimony ended in October, and here I am, I'm at a job that I'm not getting paid a lot of money whatsoever. It's my first full-time job. I was there for them for a year, and not getting the raise that I was promised, but I'm struggling, and I don't know what I'm gonna do about Christmas. A girl that I work with, she and her mother took my kids' Christmas list, bought them everything off that Christmas list. People showed up, gave me gift cards, money for food, everything, literally showed up. Megan and her mom, they packed up this box for me for Christmas. They're open that on Christmas Day. All right, because I went to her house to pick up the gifts. People are showing up, People that aren't even one of us, and they're showing up for me and my kids. This is God. This is a result of this. This is God, and showing up for others. And I opened up the box of gifts for me with my kids, and it was all my favorite stuff, and they had no idea. And I'm it's all for me. I was blown away. A card for me to buy clothes for myself. It was just insane, It was just beautiful. anyway, so again, I'm struggling financially and I don't know what I'm gonna do, and I love where I work, and I'm the oldest one at this. It's a startup company, all right, so I'm older than the CEO and the vice president. They mean well, they do, but things are getting bad financially, really, really, really bad, you know, and I'm just really struggling, and it comes to a point where like, I can't do this anymore. I left work one night, and I'd already had a conversation with my VP, like, look, I just want to tell you where I'm at. Is there a solution here? Is there something we can do? Because I'm just letting you know where I'm at, you know? I remember driving home that Friday night, and like, I just got to a point where I felt like ending it was the best idea, because I just didn't know what I was going to do, and I just thought about my kids. I'm like, I'm never gonna provide for them, ever. I'm never gonna be able to provide for them. You know, I'm like, God, what do I do? Show me what to do. You know, not help me, just show me, you know? And then maybe about a month later or so, I go to a baby shower, and I tell a girlfriend of mine what's going on, and she's like, geez, Ray, I'm so sorry. You know, she's like, listen, we're hiring. She's like, send me your resume. I said, all right. So a friend of mine who just left this company did my resume for me that night. She's really good at it. And I sent it over to my girlfriend. And she's like, all right, look, I talked you up at HR, expect a call. I'm like, okay. So I get a call for an interview, and I'm like, this is great. It's like super sneaky, and I'm like, and I do it. It's a video interview, and I do it in my car. I'm like, this is on my lunch break. I'm like, oh my God, it goes really well. So I'm like, okay, all right, God, and they call me. So I'm on my way to work. I'm talking to my boyfriend, and I have this feeling in my gut, I'm like, they're calling me today. And they did. And I went in my conference room, and she's like, hi. She's like, I just want to let you know, we want to offer you the position, and it's more money I've ever made in my life, and it's benefits, and it's 401k, and it's all this stuff. And I'm like, it's for if God willing works out to my retirement. I'm like, yes. So then I have to do the scary part, and I gotta sit my boss down and tell him I'm leaving. Like, this has changed. Like, I have to do an adult thing here. And he says to me, what if we match it? And I'm like, literally they can't. I'm like, oh, I'll think about it tonight, So my sponsor reminded me, don't forget they were okay with you getting food stamps this year. Don't forget they knew that, and they did nothing about it. Remember that. You applied for assistance, they did absolutely nothing about it. So that night he texts me, he's like, hey, we can actually raise this to $42,500, and like, here's a guy who couldn't, had me at $11 an hour, literally $11 an hour, and I'm struggling, and I want to die at times, blah, blah, blah. And then he sends me that sizable offer, and I was just like, I can't believe it. So a week ago, I'm worried about feeding my kids, and now here I am, like, like, God is crazy, this is what he does, So anyway, so I knew my gut. I talked to my brother, we know I was taking the new position, and I did, and I left with grace and everything, and and P.S. Real quick, so that sister-in-law that I put through hell, she's my biggest advocate today, and she rallies for me, and she's my bud. She has my back. When my older brother was still on the fence with me, and because he kind of suffers from this thing that's not for me to put out there, but it's just my experience. That's it. She rallied for me, man, and she always has my back. When I said I wanted to do acting and stuff when I was a kid, I now have a job at a major television network, and I have no college degree, and here I am at this place, and I can't believe it, and it's still super surreal. I've been there for a month now, and it's just crazy, and it's a result of this program. You do the work, all right? We do the, like Ricky D says, we do the work from when we need it, kind of thing, right? You help others when you're really going through it. That's when you ask God, how do you show up? I finally made my amends to my ex-husband today at the baseball field, and he didn't. The reaction I feared for 5 years, almost 5 years, didn't happen. He accepted it. Okay, and I could look him in the eyes. I'm on the same playing field as he is. I'm a woman of dignity and grace today. Okay, a lot of us come in here kicking and screaming, thinking I can't, he can, right? And then we're like, I won't, but I can assure you, he absolutely will. Thanks for letting me share.
Thank you, Renee. Awesome job. Thank you again. Customary for us to take a moment and form a line after the meeting and thank our speakers formally. They come here at their own time and expense to share their message. Next week we got Dave D coming in from Maryland. It will be always a night to remember. Don't forget the meeting after the meeting. We need some help cleaning this up. if you get this right, you're not alcoholic. 75 across, the rest go on the thing. Anyway, we got a nice way of closing if you care to join us. Don't forget the meeting after the meeting. Sometimes we go over to Perkins, half off appetizers. I still don't get a cut from that. Everybody's welcome.